of you folks met Dave when Jerry spoke a while ago. So, very brief. Dave, besides having a full-time job as an assistant governor, he has another full-time job. I'll let you guess what it is.
Congress.
Yeah, Congress. Yeah, that's next. Dave is a 29-year veteran of law enforcement and currently a commander for the Menlo Park Police Department. He started his career with the Pacifica Police Department. Dave, you live in Pacifica, right?
I do.
Okay. So, and where he rose to the ranks of captain in 2008, prior to which he was a sergeant for 13 years. He has worked as a patrol officer, gang officer, and detective. He is currently the commander and second in command for the Menlo Park Police Department. Please let's welcome Dave Bertini. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So, I have been here before. A lot of times when I walk into a Rotary Club, people look at me and they look at me like, well, are you here to talk about law enforcement? Do you want to join the club? And I always have to tell them, even though everybody's met me before, they just don't recognize me in this kind of new work outfit. They go, oh yeah, you're that guy that spoke before. But one of the things that I'm here to talk about today, which I think is really exciting, is what Rotary is today and the efforts that Rotary International has done to rebrand itself. How many people here were at the district assembly back in March? Okay, so you may have heard me talk there. I was the speaker at the opening plenary, and I spoke specifically about this. And one of the things that I think that this is important for is that this organizational study that was done through Rotary International was an effort to revitalize our membership, to enhance our perception, both internal and external, and expand our partnership. And what it does, it also drives giving. So when we talk about the rebranding of Rotary, since 2012, there's been an effort within Rotary International to better define, refine, and revitalize our branding. There were several questions that were asked by the organization that did this organizational study. Those questions were, what is our brand? Does it resonate both internally and externally? Do people outside of Rotary know our brand? Are we attracting new members? And you all know that membership has been an issue for a long time. And are we retaining current members? Those are important questions that were asked. And this was an effort to educate ourselves within Rotary on how we can better grow and promote our great organization. So for those of you who are in business, has anybody here ever gone through a rebranding in their companies? So how'd that go?
Scary.
Right? So people generally embrace change, right? That you can laugh, that was a joke. Yeah, exactly. We did the same thing in the city of Menlo Park. Our city manager came and said we need to rebrand our city logos, and they're even talking about taking away our patches. Like, whoa, time out. All right. If you want the library to have a certain little patch or something, that's fine. But you can't take away the police patch. So what occurred is the new focus was an effort to take this information that was garnered through this organizational study and put it to use. And one of the things that they looked at is membership trends. Now, what is our current Rotary International membership number? Does everybody know?
1.2 million.
How many times have you heard 1.2 million? That's been the same number for almost 2 decades now. That's how long we've been 1.2. And the problem that they discovered in this organizational study is that in the past 12 years in North America, we've had a net loss of 63,000 members. To break it down, we're inducting 43,000 new Rotarians a year, but losing 48,000 a year. What does this tell us? What it tells me, and I think what was obvious when they did this study, is that we don't have a recruitment problem. We're bringing people in. We have a retention problem. We're bringing a lot of people through the front door, and they're leaving out the back. That's one of the issues that was brought up when we did this organizational study. But the organization of Rotary International recognized this, and they said, we should do something about it. So they hired this company called Siegel & Gale. Anybody ever heard of Siegel & Gale?
No.
Siegel & Gale it's a pretty well-known organization in the corporate world. They come in and they've done corporate organizations like Chevron, IBM, they did Cisco, they did a whole bunch of different corporate organizations, but they also deal with nonprofits. They did a reorg of the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA. So they're familiar with nonprofits. And what they did in 2012 is they looked at and did a report on 2 specific issues: knowledge and branding of Rotary. So they ended up interviewing 20,000 people. 10,000 of those were active Rotarians or former Rotarians, and 10,000 were people from the outside. And for those 20,000 people, and these people came from 17 different countries, so it just wasn't North America. But based on the information that came out of this organizational study, the Rotary International embarked on something called New Focus in 2012-2013 to use the information that was garnered from this organizational study. Now today, it's no longer new because we've been doing it since 2012, although our district has been a little bit reluctant to really embrace this new focus. And as a matter of fact, many clubs in the district don't know what it is. And I've convinced Governor Jerry to allow me to go out and do these presentations on the new focus. In the zone, everybody knows we're in a zone, right? So Rotary is Rotary International, and there's zones, and then it goes down to district, right? We're in a zone 25-26, and I'm one of the instructors for the entire zone, which encompasses almost all of the west coast of the United States. And we've been going out and trying to assist clubs in using this great information to go forward and try to address some of the issues. But of the 10,000 people that were in Rotary or formerly in Rotary, the questions that were asked were why we joined Rotary and why we stay in Rotary. And the results were a bit interesting. So my question to you, why did you join Rotary? Anybody here?
We're friends.
Friends? Okay.
Give back.
Give back and help? Okay. Right. Any other reasons?
Somebody asked me to.
Somebody asked you to. Somebody asked you too also. Okay. Did they make an offer you couldn't refuse?
Yes.
I'm an Italian, so I know that. I know those offers. Right? Anybody here joined? I joined Rotary for clients. And I've never gotten a client out of Rotary.
Never made an arrest?
This is a tough crowd. Come on now. Get it?
You never laugh at a guy that's got a gun.
I guess. My third career is stand-up comedian, but I guess you guys aren't into my jokes. No, but there's also that reason. But so the results were kind of surprising. So to positively impact your local community was 35.5%, for friendship 30%. Interesting. Now we all know we are an international organization and we do a lot of work internationally, but if you look at international service, only 8.2% actually joined for international service. So the 2 main ones, 65% of people join for local impact and for friendship. Local impact and friendship. And Rotary International found that very, very interesting. And they thought to themselves, we have this information, and based on this information, is there a way to parlay that into more membership? But the second question they asked, which is even more important, I think, is why do we stay? Anybody want to tell me why they stay in Rotary? Because, what's that? Vodka. I was going to say, your club is probably alcohol. I don't know. And I just see alcohol flowing at this time of the morning. I'm like, wow, these guys know how to party. Anybody want to tell me why you actually stay?
They're ashamed to leave.
You're ashamed to leave?
Projects?
Engagement. They want to stay engaged to their community, right? And to their friends. Right? Exactly. Because a lot of people, and here's what we found in the Siegel and Gale study. If you see positively impact our community, local impact went up only a percent. That's still pretty high. But look at friendship. Because people come into Rotary for whatever reason, all of a sudden they start finding people with like minds, like passions. We all want to get together and do local, and that's why we stay. That's why we stay. But you also notice it's funny because a lot of people join for networking opportunities, 18.7%. I mean, we're not really a networking club. We're not here for business, and you see that goes down. But you also see that because we are an international organization, our global impact also rose a little bit for why people stay. So the question that was asked is, knowing this information, do you think we may use this and recruit new members using this type of information? You obviously see that people stay because they want local impact and for friendship. And why not recruit people by telling them, hey, come into our group, you'll have great fellowship with like-minded people, and you'll do good for your local community, along with the international community. So those are some of the things that we can use to parlay this great information into a, what's the return on investment for me? So one of the other things that Siegel and Gale did, besides talking to members and former members, was they talked about what is our brand. From people outside of Rotary, they surveyed people who had no idea, and they asked them, hey, what is Rotary? And these are some of the quotes, actual quotes from this survey. I think it's a group of old men who eat lunch together and sing. Okay? Other people, other quotes. Hey, get on. I'm not judging. All right. Some people said it's a place to network, and someone else said, oh, it's a place to war stories. To someone someone in Africa said, it's a secret society. A secret society. So, and I have a small anecdote about that. In 2010, I had the unfortunate duty in Rotary to lead a group of GSE, Group Study Exchange, to Italy. 30 days, all expenses paid in Italy. It was hard, I know.
Whoa.
I know, it was tough.
Service above
self. I speak the language fluently, so it was easy for me to go over there and translate for everybody. But one of the areas we went to is Verona, the city of Verona, and that's where my grandfather's from Verona. So my great uncle was still there, so I went and had lunch with him. And he is a person who should be a Rotarian. He's 70 years old. He's owned his own small, medium-sized business for years. I go, zio Mario, ma perché non sei in Rotary? Why aren't you in Rotary? And he goes, he looks around. Perché Rotary è come la mafia. Rotary's like mafia. That's what he said. I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, they only accept certain people, and they're very secretive, and and that's how apparently in Italy they feel about Rotary. It's like the mafia, because they're very insular, and only certain people were invited to join Rotary. So that's kind of what other people are seeing us as, right? But even within our own organization, within Rotary, we all had different branding. There was no one single brand of Rotary. Because you had Rotary action groups that had one brand, you had Interact groups that had another brand, you had Rotaract groups that had another brand, and all these organizations within Rotary did not get branded the same. So we need to realize as Rotarians, we are not just a service organization. We're not the Lions Club, we're not the Kiwanis, we're not the fraternal orders, elk, moose, or all those other sundry animals. And we're not a networking group like BNI. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those groups. We're different. Rotary really is in a class of its own. We are a leadership organization. No other group in the history of this world has done and accomplished what we have. What other organization played an integral part in founding the United Nations, helping draft their charter documents, and having a permanent seat there? Not the Lions Club, not the Moose, not BNI. Or has been responsible for almost wiping out a dreaded worldwide disease. An organization that through its influence can stop a civil war in order to accomplish a national immunization day. An organization that's brought clean water, sanitation, health, and prosperity and peace to millions of people around the world. This is an organization of leaders. We are not a service club. Think about each of the good that you have done for your local community and for the international community. These are the stories we need to tell. When somebody asks you, what is Rotary? What do you say to them? I know in the past we've had this stock canned answer. What's Rotary? Well, we are a service organization with 1.2 million members, 35,000 clubs in 130 countries, right? And we would just give stats. I would suggest something different when asked, what is Rotary? How about this? Let's describe it as we really are. We are a leadership organization made up of local businesses, professional and civic leaders. We meet regularly, form friendships, and through that, we're able to get things done in our community and throughout the world. That description truly tells us what we are, because we are not just your typical service organization. Rotary World has already started to make changes in just our branding alone. We've enhanced our logo, and you've been seeing it around. President Jake there is wearing a shirt that exactly has what our logo is today. This banner right here has our logo as it is today. We are no longer just putting the wheel on our jacket, on our lapels. right? We're proudly saying Rotary and then the wheel, so people don't have to get really close to you and go, what is that little wheel you got on your lapel there? So that we can have people say, hey, oh, that's Rotary. That's obvious what that is. Those people are Rotarians. Here, there is no question on who we are. There's been other changes that have been made, and I know when I came to visit your club and I did the board meeting, I know your secretary has some questions about this, and I'm going to go into some of the things you're interested on. Is in 2016 we had a Council of Legislation. Does anybody know what the Council of Legislation is or does? You do. Okay. For those who don't, every 3 years, every district sends a representative back to Chicago, and they do this group of legislating, basically. And every district has an equal vote. And that's where our rules are changed. That's where things are enhanced, they're changed, they're canceled, whatever it is. It's sort of like Congress getting together and doing nothing. I mean, no, making laws, and legislating. So these following changes came out of the 2016. They were effective July 1st of 2016, so they're in effect now. And one of the things they wanted to really enhance is the flexibility of clubs to really do what you want to do and not be just kind of hamstrung by rules and regulations from Rotary International. One of the things they said is how you meet. They really opened it up. And I know there are some people who may not like this. Some people are traditionalists. We know how people like change, right? But what they basically said is Rotary International doesn't care how you meet. As long as you do it twice a month, that's all they care about. It could be in person, just like you're doing now. It could be a social event meeting. It could be a project you do. It's a meeting. You could have a conference call. It's a meeting. You can have an email chain. It's a meeting. They don't care. They don't care. All right? We have changed so much from when I started 16, 17 years ago, where it was like, you have to have a meeting every, and if you don't show up, you get fined, and you can only miss so many meetings, and et cetera, et cetera. But they said, look, we understand we're dealing with a different world today, folks. We're trying to attract people who aren't as traditional, who don't have the time or the inclination to have to come to a meeting every single week. Now, there's something to be said for coming and getting together, right, and fellowship, and getting to figure out what's going on, et cetera, right? But like in my club in Pacifica, we decided we're going to have like one evening meeting, which is kind of a social meeting a month, and then the rest are the breakfast meetings. But if you look at newer clubs, like the club SF Evening, they meet at bars, they go do service projects, and they use those as meetings. Okay? It's no longer where the rules and regulations no longer say it has to be a meeting that you make up at. Okay? It could also be some other kind of social event or even a district event. Now, obviously, you guys as a club, you folks as a club would have to change your own bylaws to reflect this if you want to do that. But you now have that ability to do that, which is great, as long as you meet twice a month. Some of the other changes that were made, basically there are these things called e-clubs, the electronic clubs that all they do is meet online. They're no longer called e-clubs, they're just called Rotary clubs. And they can just meet online, and they are a tradition, just like a traditional Rotary club. Flexibility in membership types. You folks can make any member. You want an associate member, you want an honorary member, you want an associate member and a corporate member. You can decide in your bylaws any type of membership you want. It doesn't matter. You could say, hey, Bank of America, you as a company are going to be a member. You can send a different person every single week. Cool, you're a corporate member. That's okay, and that's okay with Rotary International. And there were some other changes that were made also that were kind of interesting. That you could look at your bylaws and make these changes if you so desire. You don't have to if you don't want to. But what's interesting to me is that Rotary International is taking what they learned, and they're trying to be looking in the future. They're trying to look in the future for how are we going to not only gain membership but also retain that membership. And these are some of the ways to do it. In conclusion, I'm one of the instructors at PETS, President-Elect Training Seminar. So I do the instruction for, when Jake just had it, who's your PE?
Gloria.
Gloria, and Gloria back in March is going to be singing there also. But at the last PETS last year, we were at a lunch, and Brad Howard, who is our zone director, he asked the 500 President-elects in the lunchroom, and he said, what is Rotary's competition? Think about it. What is Rotary's competition? Is it the Lions Club? Is it the Elks? Is it other networking clubs? I mean, do we see Rotarians leaving in droves to don little red fezzes and drive little cars? Shriners? No, we don't. Rotary's competition is life. Right? It is life. It is other commitments. What we give ourselves is much more than money. It is our precious time. Time away from work. Time away from our churches. Time away from our businesses, our families, our friends, our hobbies. That's what the competition is. So the challenge to you in all your clubs is not just recruitment. The challenge is retention. And I would submit to you all that we can do this by giving our members, who are our customers, what they have plainly told us. Give them opportunities for friendship, fellowship, and to have local impact. And if we do this, we will increase our membership. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, sir.
I've never was aware that Rotary had a seat at the UN.
Permanent seat as an observer, yes. For those, it's really interesting. Rotary International was at the chartering of the United Nations. We helped actually write their documents. For what you think of the UN today, there's obviously a lot of differing opinions, but we are still there today. Yes.
Wow.
And majority of the first group that in Rotary,
The diplomats. Yes. Most of the diplomats were Rotarians.
Right.
Yeah, that first group that got together and chartered the United. The League of Nations, for those who remember that, it didn't work very well. The United Nations was a little bit more put together. Any other questions, comments?
Dave?
Sir.
It's interesting to observe your uncle's observations
We're
about
going to have to
Rotary.
monitor
You
this
travel
as far
around
as
the
the
world.
moose and
Rotary has a much higher
pheasants and
prestige
stuff.
for
I
status
gotta take it out of
level
there.
elsewhere in the world.
Yes.
than the United States,
Correct.
by a very big margin.
Right.
I mean, you go to a club in Paris, you're going to be meeting with the top corporate people.
Right.
Often.
Yeah, in Europe, especially in Europe, he's absolutely right. When I did the GSC trip in Europe, in Italy, the people who joined Rotary were like the moneyed aristocracy, honestly. For better or for worse, that's just the way it is, And that's the reason why Michael probably called it the mafia, because he wasn't moneyed or aristocratic enough. So, sir.
Just got in from London, actually, last week, and I took another trip. Sorry about being late, but we stayed at Seroptimus Club World Headquarters. Great deal, because they have to rent their rooms out. That's Seroptimus, is a women's club. How'd you
get in there?
How'd we say?
You were addressed.
Hey, it's California! It's California!
You know what? I just get in and I get hammered all over.
That's what happens when you're late. When you're late,
What do you think of
you
Roger
have to make
Dangerfield
up.
or something?
So the question for Dave,
Okay. But I mean, the thing is, that's the point. World headquarters in London on Bayswater Road. It was a great location right by Hyde Park, great location, £125 a night, and that's not too bad a deal right now.
Okay, great.
Would you have to be a woman?
Go to my house. You
No.
know how countries,
That boy would.
sometimes they have political conflicts among each other, with each other. What has been known to happen was that they bring in Rotarians, because most likely there are Rotarian groups, and help arbitrate. Or solve the problem.
Exactly, without a doubt. I don't know if anybody reads the Rotarian when it comes out. They had a story in the last month, it was very interesting, about a Army colonel in Afghanistan who was so well liked by the villagers, because him and his men came in and they really helped. And one of the village elders said, "Why are you so different than the other soldiers?" He goes, "Well, I'm a Rotarian. This is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do." And that's the kind, that's what Rotary has tried to do in the past, is basically go out with peace and try to do that, and try to bring peace to those areas that don't have peace. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.